Welcome everybody to another broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. It's kind of late in the night. Came across some information from the Jerusalem Post. Thought you may find it interesting. We hear so much about the defeat of ISIS. Pretty much every week you hear that a city was taken from ISIS and ISIS has been driven back, and it seems like people are celebrating that ISIS is the war against ISIS is finished, and I wanted to bring this article up to you to tell you that the war against ISIS is not finished. They're just changing their game plan, for lack of better terms. Uh, they're going back to their origin, their country, a lot of European countries and stuff like that, and they bring in this ideology, this terror ideology, to their countries in which they live. And that can be very dangerous because that what you see on a regular basis about single person attacks, shootings, stabbings, using a car. I mean, the laundry list goes on and on. ISIS is not finished. The war against ISIS is not finished. But this article that I wanted to bring to your attention is out of the Jerusalem Post. The title reads, ISIS not yet vanquished, but not by a long shot, top intel experts say. So let's dive into this article. What you say? A report says terror group may have lost ground in Middle East, but it, quote, did not cease to exist, but rather changed the pattern of its activities. Celebrations of Islamic State is essentially being routed from territory in its countries of birth, Syria and Iraq, have taken off worldwide. Yet a new and possibly the most comprehensive report to date on the future of all Islamic State arms is grim. The Mir Amit Intelligence and Terrorism Information Center report obtained exclusively by Jerusalem Post resoundingly warns that from Libya to Sinai Peninsula to the Philippines to foreign fighters fleeing Syria and Iraq and returning to their European countries of origin, the Pandora's box cannot be closed. That's what I was explaining earlier. They're going back to their country. A lot of them in European countries. Then they bring in their terror ideology with them and carrying out solo attacks. One person attacking, and you've seen that increase. And let's go into a little bit more of the article. The center is renowned for its members' backgrounds in the Israeli intelligence community and its going contacts with that community with top current officials, also authorizing articles in its publications. ISIS may no longer be a conventional force invasion threat within the Middle East and has lost its main financial weapons and physical recruitment centers, but its unique success in establishing global ISIS chapters and using social media to facilitate ISIS-inspired attacks by local Westerners in their home countries is expected to plague Middle Eastern countries and beyond indefinitely. So you're seeing this. You're seeing these lone wolf, for lack of better terms, attacks by ISIS influence individuals that is causing a lot of harm worldwide. And the United States is not immune to it. We've had attacks here in the United States, and I tell you, we got to rid. We have to have, and President Trump is doing this, is working on this. We have to make sure the refugee situation is very, very, very precise in deciding who to let into our country and who not to let in our country. Now, I am not saying that we should cut off all refugees into our country by no stretch of imagination, but they got to be a process where we can approve these people and get a background check on them before we allow them in our country to cause damage and destruction in our country, like they've done so many times throughout the world. ISIS is not finished, ladies and gentlemen. They've just changed. They don't have a invading force with tanks and armored vehicles anymore. They're pretty much an ideology now that is spreading through refugees throughout the world. Ridding somebody, from what my studies have shown regarding ISIS when they first started and you first started hearing about them, they brainwash you, for lack of better terms again. They brainwash you and they set you on this course of destruction that these people actually believe that if they do this act of terror, that somehow they're doing justice and doing ISIS good. Well, I can tell you one thing. President Trump, you can say all you want about President Trump. I respect my commander-in-chief, whoever is in that position. Why do I respect, regardless who's in that position? Because the Bible tells us to respect authority, and there's no powers that be but ordained by God. And those that resist the authority brings upon himself judgment. So we're mandated by the Bible to respect our leader, and our leader is Donald Trump, President Trump, and we must support him. And I don't want to get on a political topic right now, but there's so much happening in our country and so much division that is setting the stage for these lone wolves to enter the country that's members of the ISIS group and do much harm when we least expect it. And it can be very destructive in some cases. My biggest fear is, North Korea is cash strapped. They're really cash hungry, and the only thing they have that they can sell for large sums of money is their missile and nuclear technology. Now, my biggest fear is that a sale may go down where a warhead is given in the wrong hands and somehow it's smuggled in. Hey, if they can smuggle in a quarter ton of marijuana or cocaine through the borders in tunnels and stuff like that, they can certainly fit something a size of a large suitcase into our country. And that's my biggest fear. I don't see a large army invading our country. I see an unorganized, not an organized army, but somebody that had some money, that got with the right person, that had the right technology that they want to destroy and do destruction on a major scale. And that's my biggest fear. But hey, I wanted to get this news out to you. The war in ISIS is not finished, regardless of what you hear. They just changed their position and going more of a lone wolf attacks throughout the world. So we wanted to get it out. So if you have any questions, I'll try to keep my eye open to see if this article goes any further or there's any further information on this. But hey, if you are want updates on Jerusalem's Gate, hey, subscribe to us. We don't make any money off of Jerusalem's Gate. We do it strictly for the love of getting the news out with a Christian perspective. With that being said, you're watching and listening another broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. Shalom.